have two very highly requested topics. This is one of them. How do you and Brian keep the spark alive? If there's any topic that I feel like I am very much experienced to talk about, it's this one. Here's why. I've been married for about 7 or 8 years. I have known him for 14, dated him for about 2 in total before we got married. For us, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we've had this spark this whole time. No. We had the spark the first 2 years. We had the spark the first 2-3 years of our marriage as well. It was probably year 5 or 6 where I started to notice that it was like we're going through the motions. But when it's so early on, you don't really recognize it till you look back in hindsight and connect the dots backwards. So in the moment, I didn't see it, okay? And he surely didn't see it. But it's because of the lifestyle that we had, right? The risks that we were taking. We're both entrepreneurs. We're both very driven and very motivated and very goal-oriented. And sometimes when you're doing that, you both can kind of get lost in the, all your conversations turn to work. All your conversations turn to investments. All your conversations turn into future. All your conversations, that's it. You don't connect on anything else. But in the beginning, you used to connect on everything. Like everything about them you used to love. Even the things that you hate today about them, you used to love those quirks in the beginning, myself included, okay? I used to love the fact that if I made anything, he would just love food. And he's like a fit guy. So like you would just see him, it's just like, yeah, like that's a real man. But today, if he even breathes an extra breath in front of me over here, I'm like, oh my God, it was too loud. You know, that's normal. I want you guys to understand one thing, that if you feel like your spark is gone, nothing is wrong. This is normal and it's fixable. Okay. You don't have to immediately write your partner off. You don't immediately have to think something is wrong. I understand what people are going through. I get it. We are living in a time, in a society where we can just simply swipe if we don't like something. You're swiping through people's content. 2 seconds, didn't hook you, on to the next, on to the next. Oh, this isn't attractive, on to the next. Dating apps, swiping in a different direction. Don't like it, don't like it. Think of TV. Back in the day when you watched TV, you could only watch the 5 things that were on it. Pick your choice. Today, you have Hulu, you have Netflix, you have Apple TV, you have Amazon Prime, you have all these things that you get to pick what you want to watch. And if you don't like it in the first 2 minutes, you hit stop and go look for something else. Unfortunately, I think that has done something to our brains on some level where we're on like a little bit of a dopamine high. I also think that my generation and the one next had social media. You had people portraying their relationships, whether they were honest or not about them. Now, today, 2025 into 2026, the new thing is you have all these influencers and these business creators, even entrepreneurs, people that we look up to, I'm not going to name names, have weddings, but they're curating every single experience with you and I in mind. So it's not authentic. It's not real. It's like a show. So we think that they have that picture perfect fairy tale. What we don't see on the back end is how these two people who are about to get married in a week probably argued 100 times because she's on social media and that's part of her business or her job. And she has to curate their engagement dinner perfectly, or the engagement that was supposed to be a surprise is now not a surprise. You get the story. Okay. So now, the people consuming the content, which is the majority of us, have this certain perception and expectation of, oh, that's what a relationship should look like. And if it's not that, something's wrong. This is wrong. This isn't acceptable. We have lost touch, literally and figuratively, I feel, when it comes to the human connection and the bond that is so sacred between two people in a committed relationship. Our bandwidth to withstand or handle more conflict or deeper types of conflict has been diminished at large. And it happens to the best of us. If we're always have these options, if we can always distract ourselves, which we have in our modern day society, we have apps, we have entertainment things, we can just do things to not have the tough conversation or to not actually have that tough engagement that maybe we were forced to have 10 years ago, or in our parents' day and age where you just had to make it work, right? We have all these distractions. But then what's to make you be content with what you have? Like, where's the bar there? Where do you draw the line and say, no, I got to face this and do the work? If we're always jumping to the next high, how do we learn to sit with the uncomfortable realizations or truth that we're having in the moment in our relationships? How does commitment not feel like a death trap? I want to read you guys something that I put together because I think it nails it on the head, okay, for all of the people who are worried about their spark right now. Are you glued to your phones and you're together? Are your conversations mostly surface level or logistics based? Do you prioritize chores over quality time together? Do you prioritize your kids over each other? Do you ignore each other when you walk into the room? Do you criticize and complain more than expressing gratitude for each other? Do you forget to plan date nights? Do you avoid touching each other because it'll lead to something more? Do you avoid talking about intimacy? Do you avoid expressing the needs or desires? Do you view them as a stress, chore, or responsibility versus a life partner? If it's a yes, then, no wonder there's so much distance between you guys. But these are all fixable. So in the very beginning of our relationship and marriage, so when we were dating, we started stuff together, business-wise. And then in the first several years of our marriage, we were also working together. Because it was the early days of our relationship and our marriage, we would easily shift in and out of work conversations and then like our conversations. In the beginning, nobody was jaded yet. So you're young, right? Like, finally we're back together. If you guys know our story, you know, and if not, I'll do an episode on it. But like, we were just so happy to be together finally after so many years that both of us were like in it. You know, we were like two little giddy high schoolers for a very long time. Yes, we had big goals and big dreams, but we were so young that we're like, oh, we have time. Oh, we have time, you know? And so that pressure that we had in the middle of our marriage or today was very minuscule. So it was just easier. We didn't feel like we had a time pressure, so to speak. We were kind of just enjoying things and building things, both very young and very much, I guess you could call it naive in some ways. So we were young entrepreneurs building and doing things together, and that played in our favor, I think, looking back. And our conversations have always been in alignment in the beginning, like conspiracy theories, aliens, and spirituality, and religion, and then, what is nihilism? Like, we go all over the board with our stuff. So we always aligned and matched on the depth of our conversations, where work was work, but then we had fun. Now, things didn't always stay that way. I'm going to go here for a minute and speak for men for a second, only because in our society still today, we have both men and women work and provide for family. I get that. I understand that. But most men are geared to put that burden on themselves and that stress subconsciously. Some are very good at communicating that and letting their partners know. Others quietly and silently hold that pressure on themselves. This is why we're going to go with this route for the sake of this episode. We were living in St. Louis, and before I could even find my next thing, because I was quitting law, I had health things that prevented me from working for a while. That's where things changed. So, unbeknownst to me, because this was not being communicated to me, Brian was all of a sudden in like survival mode. So for him, the only way he knew how to keep things going and afloat while 50% of his partnership is kind of like standstill, which was me going through my things, was to make sure that our bills were paid, doctor's appointments were done, things were taken care of. He did not lean on family. He did not lean on friends. He did not take any sort of financial help from anyone around us. He could have. He did not. It wasn't even a discussion or conversation, because he is like, nah, I know him today, and I can say that in his mind, it's like, no, I have this. I'm going to figure it out. I got this. Another part of that became, I don't want to stress Nina more than she's already stressed. So he started to not share all of the hard things that he was going through in work at the time. Okay. So he's trying to sustain us as a young guy, and he's trying to navigate what's happening with me. And I'm changing. I'm like not the same person anymore. And he's also trying to shield me from problems. So he's bearing this burden all on his own. Okay. And asking nobody for help. Now, when you look at each other, what do you see? Okay. I saw a guy who wasn't emotionally babying me or taking care of me the way that I wanted. He wasn't there next to my bed saying, I love you, or let me go make you a fresh meal, or make you some soup or this. So in my mind, I'm thinking, man, he's like terrible at this. He doesn't know how to take care of me. One of the biggest challenges that our marriage faced, and he's like failing. This is what I'm thinking, okay? But I don't have emotions towards it because I'm too busy healing. He sees, I love this person so much. What just happened? She's not the same person. How do I fix this? I can't fix this. Money's not enough. No matter how much I work, this isn't enough. Oh my God, how do I do this? She's in pain today, so I don't want to bother her with this stuff. Do you see? He's become someone I look at and associate with how he didn't show up how I wanted him to show up. By the way, we're young. We don't know how to communicate yet. He's associating me with stress. I want to shield her. Bills. I got to provide. I'm the leader. This is on my shoulders. I have to take care of this. There is nowhere for us to play. We're not looking at each other with those rose-colored glasses anymore because life just got real. All right? That's where I think the spark started to change. Now, this was 2022. We moved to Miami. You get this little glimpse of like our spark back. Now, mind you, we're not aware that the spark is fumbling here, okay? We moved to Miami. We're distracted by the shiny things, the new condo, the new thing, the new city, the parties, this and that, like new friends, new everything, fresh beginning. I'm working out now. I'm better. I'm totally good with everything. Everything's looking on the up and up. Another external problem hits. In the crypto market, the FTX thing happens. That affects the industry. Doesn't really affect like us. We weren't involved in that, but like the industry takes a big hit. Well, guess what? This 30-something just went through years of this experience with his wife. The minute we feel like we're come up for a breath, he gets slammed with something like this. A month, 2 months after we make a huge financial leap to move to Miami, where all of our expenses went up, our living expenses went up. Everything just went up for us, right? And then all of a sudden the markets take a hit. Now, again, everything falls on his shoulders. So you see how we've become this like reminder to each other of life's problems. That's what it turned into. Looking back, again, in the moment, I couldn't see it and neither could he. So of course the spark is gone. We didn't even need kids for the spark to be gone in that moment. But neither of us walked away. Neither of us stepped away from each other. Could I tell you why or how? Yeah, I could tell you why I didn't walk away. Because I have seen both sides of our families really commit to one another. I have seen my parents, whether it was right or wrong, commit to one another. I have seen his family commit to each other. I see his brother and my sister-in-law commit to each other. I see that strong foundation around us. And I know what it takes to have a long-lasting, healthy marriage. And it's not easy, and it's not always pretty. But one thing's for certain, that not everybody had a, shiny rose, perfect picture relationship all the time. So this was just part of the game. Now, of course, we had conversations about this, and of course we would talk about it, but we didn't have the bandwidth or emotional maturity or even the good communication skills to fix it. We didn't know how to fix it. Also, both of us, I think, somewhere thought that it would get better along the way. And now we can fast forward to 2025, 8-9 months ago, which is what triggered us to go to therapy, because I felt like if we don't step, we both knew, like if we don't step in and actually actively acknowledge what's going on here, we are now active participants in watching this train crash and burn. We're aware of this situation. We are both in very good positions to put effort towards this. I'm healthy, he's good, everything's good, we're starting a new venture together. Now's the time. Before we, like they say, like when you add to your plate, whether it be kids or another business or another event, whatever it is, it's only going to exacerbate your problems. I think Chris Do also said that in the episode, and it's very true. Now, one at this very moment could be like, yeah, well, my partner's already giving up or walking out on me, and they're not even willing to go to therapy, and they're not willing to do this. Pause for a second. Just because someone is handling something differently than you would like them to doesn't make it wrong. I'm going to go through steps that we took, or I took, to get to where we are today, which is like, we're very close. Like, we're both very happy with everything. We're in a very good spot. I feel like it's 80% of how it was in the very beginning when we were dating. That's what it feels like these days with him. And I feel like if we can do it after knowing each other for 14 years and being married for like 7 or 8, then anybody can do it. Number one question, how do you even know it's worth fighting for? Very easy to ask this question when you're not married. I get it. I understand. When you're married, the stakes are a little higher. You've got kids involved. You've got papers involved. You've got assets involved. You have this time, this investment that you've put into this. It's not easy to walk away, okay? You don't really, is this worth fighting for? That question doesn't come early, like it didn't for us, right? Like I wasn't walking away, he wasn't walking away. But when you're in a relationship and just dating, this is where we see people walking away a lot and giving up because they have options, because they are running on dopamine highs. I think this is how you know if it's worth fighting for. First off, most people jump to the worst case scenario. Oh, the spark isn't there, this person's not meant for me. As humans, we are programmed when something doesn't go our way or isn't going right, we turn into fight or flight mode, or what I call fawn mode, right? You need to recognize where you fall in this category. Are you just alarmed and think that because there's a problem and that means you're not meant to be together? Because that's not true. That's a lie. You have to step back and say, okay, spark, I'm not feeling a spark. All right. You have to be curious and want to explore. Don't get into freeze mode. Don't get into flight mode. Don't let your mind race and come up with made up stories in your head about how it should be and what you're comparing to and who you're being comparing this to. Don't do that. Immediately get those stories out of your head. And to answer that question, is this worth fighting for? I'm going to ask you a question to help you gain clarity on that. If the best version of both of you showed up tomorrow, would it be something worth fighting for and staying in? That's it. And that's what I have unconsciously, didn't know that I was doing it, always felt. And in therapy, it turns out, so did he. And this all goes back to the foundation that we had in the very beginning of our relationship when we were 20-something in law school, that it was the best year of our life. And thereafter, we always felt that we were the best couple and the most compatible than any other relationships we had, separately. And so we were always reminded of our foundation, of the base that we had. And then when we came back together and dated, it was the same. And like I'd mentioned, the first few years of our marriage too were amazing, incredible. When I say, is this worth something fighting for? And you ask yourself another question, right? If the best version of both of you showed up tomorrow, now is this relationship or that person something worth fighting? I had the reference, for me, my story is that the best version that I had ever experienced of him was in our first year of dating. Then again, when we reconnected, and then again in the beginning of our marriage, several years. So I had solid footing and ground to go on that is the best version of him. I'm going to say this 2 times now, what I'm about to say. That best version of Brian today does me no good. Doesn't fit. There is a new best version of Brian today, because I am not the same Nina as I was 7 years ago or 14 years ago. I'm just saying, you now, if you're looking back and you have a solid footing to go back to, like the happy days, you know emotionally what this could be to you. You know the emotional feeling of being giddy and obsessed with each other and seeing each other with rose-colored glasses and excited to text each other and see each other and go on date night. And oh my God, you wish you could get your work done quickly so you could hang out again. It's just that feeling. It's not that version. You guys don't want that other version of that person. So don't get the two confused. You want to go, the best version that I am talking about is if today a genie came and gave you the best versions of yous as today, as what life demands of you today. If I got the best version of Brian from 14 years ago when we met, well, We both like to party. If that was him today, it wouldn't work. We both were like lazy couch potatoes after class. That doesn't work today. I don't want to be with that. That's not how we are. There's a lot of things there. Also, but that old Brian and Nina didn't know how to communicate. We didn't have arguments or fights because we were in a honeymoon phase. But let me tell you, that beginning honeymoon phase also, we didn't have bills to pay. Mommy and daddy were rolling the bills. He had a trust fund. Like, it wasn't the same. Life was not the same. My Brian today, the best version of him, because we didn't give up on each other, and probably he would say the same thing about me, I hope, is the one who shows up, the one who does the work. To me, it's so, like, the word I'm thinking of is like sexy, that like he doesn't give up on us no matter what happens, right? No matter what external thing is thrown in our way, no matter what problems come our way, no matter what things that I might stir up in the relationship happen, he doesn't give up. That's what's attractive. Like, that's what keeps me going. That's the best version that I see right now. Two, if you can't get clarity on this, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, I'm feeling some sort of way, Nina, and it's not positive. Well, then ask yourself, why are you hanging on? Is it fear of being alone, scarcity, insecurity, afraid of hurting that person, maybe, afraid of taking action? I think you really need to get honest with yourself. But I will say, I strongly do believe that if you can look back on the past and find that, like, oh man, I was so... And thinking about it almost brings you there and makes you feel good, right? And then you know that if you guys showed up as your best selves, like, you would definitely want to give this another chance. It's not a question in your head. You just a yes or a no. There's no maybes with those two things to look at. And if it's a no, or if it's a question mark, then you got to see why you're there and act accordingly, unfortunately. Okay, second thing, a shift in perspective. Absolutely get it out of your head that there's anything wrong if you're not feeling the spark. Happens to everybody. I swear I have not met a couple who's super successful, who's married for a very long time or been in a relationship for a long time, who had the spark 24/7, all year round, all the years that they've been together. It's not possible. We are human. We are human beings. We have emotions. Things fluctuate. Life happens. Stressors happen. Okay, we're not robots. It's okay. So change that idea, which gears you up for the next step. This is the one that I love the most. This step number 3, is the one that helped me show up very differently in our marriage. Nobody told me this, not my therapist, nobody. It actually came to me, and I forget how it came to me. I don't know. Somehow I'll remember. And now I tell everybody about it. When you're dealing with something like this, it's very easy for certain types of personalities to feel very overwhelmed. And they look at this mountain that they have to climb and all these changes they have to go through and all these uncoverings and these conversations and therapy and this and that. And I got to be on guard now. It starts to feel like homework, so to speak, right? So you'd rather just walk away and quit. I can get that. I mean, I understand that. But it's so much easier than that. After you shift your perspective and realize nothing is wrong, you can start to say, okay, what is the basic bare minimum that I can do to make this better, or to start making this better? Just be a good human. Don't be a good Nina or a good Brian or a good Joe Schmo or whoever. No. Be a good human. That's it. Sometimes we are nicer to the stranger in line at the grocery store than we are to our partner. Why? Because when we see our partner, we're triggered, because our ego comes into play, because now we visualize them, like I said earlier, like all the stressors come flooding into our minds, and that's what we associate this person with, all of our problems in life that we have. Just be a good human. And I started to do just that with him, because I had so many high expectations from him. I wanted him to show up perfect all the time. And I'm sure if he sat here, he would have things to share, but I'm giving you my side. And I just simply thought, like, okay, relax a little bit. Show up with compassion. I started to almost treat it like a new day, with a little bit of like, Brian is a soul and he's a human. And I am someone who is encountering this soul in this lifetime. So I kind of zoomed out a little bit, right? Out of our identities, out of our egos, out of our role of wife and husband, which is a simple human being interaction. And the way I did that was like, listen, I came into this world alone. I'm going to die alone. All right. Like everything we do in between is this little story and this act that we live out and play and participate in. And that's our experience. And that's what we call life. As much as you love your partner and they love you, like, you know, you are like on your own here. And I started to do that and approach every day, which by the way, this was only a couple weeks to a month of a span. This didn't take long to shift at all. It was very fast. I didn't ask him to do any of this. This is me doing it on my own. I zoomed out, approached him as a human being. So here's what changed, tangibly speaking. I know that in the mornings, he's the one that's rushed. I work from home, so I'm not rushed. I'm also a morning person. I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning. He doesn't get up till like 7 or 8, okay? I'm like, you know, how can I show up as a good human being? Not to get something, not to expect something, but to serve, right? I realized that his new diet is a huge bowl of fruit in the morning, a spoonful of honey, and something else. I don't know. It's like something about like spiking your stuff in the morning to go pump a good workout in and then eat protein the rest of the day, something like that. I start making his fruit bowls for him without him even asking. And I realized that the first day I did it, number one, I didn't do it because he asked me. I did it because I wanted to. I was coming from a place of being a good human being. And what is a good human being? One who serves, one who feels good in just serving. Love, by the way, at the end of the day, is not to get something, is not to take something, is not to expect something. It's literally to serve one another. And in that serving, you fuel each other's energy, and together you have like a beautiful relationship. Everything stems from that. The problem is in our society today, what can he get me? What can she do for me? Can she cook for me? Can he get me a Birkin and this and that? That's not the way to go about this, okay? True love is serving. Look at your mom, look at your dad, look at your family, your parents, your grandparents. It's serving, it's loving, it's unconditional love. So I started to approach this a couple months ago. He didn't notice. He thought that that fruit bowl was mine. And I'm like, that's your fruit bowl. You said you're going to start eating fruit. And he goes, that's for me? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, you think I want to eat that much fruit? And he's like, oh my God, thank you. I mean, it was the most over the top reaction out of him. And if you guys know him, that guy's always like happy, but chill. Like he's not a overly excited, overly emotional guy. He's just always happy at this one level, happy. Like good mood, happy, motivated, moving on. And I'm like, that was a cool reaction actually to see coming from him. He goes about his day, texts me a couple hours later. That was the sweetest thing that you've ever done for me. Thank you so much. It was so helpful. I didn't have to sit there and fumble with the knife, which by the way, guys, I'm sure this has something to do with it. That guy can't do anything in the kitchen. If I could show you guys how he cuts fruit, basically he takes the skin part, instead of cutting the skin part, he like almost wastes half the fruit with the skin. Like he doesn't know how to cut anything. So, and I do. So he's like so ecstatic and happy. Then he comes home that evening, says it again. I'm almost like, wow, this was that big of a deal to him. Like I'm thinking about this in my head, right? So now I look forward to doing it, to be honest, because I know it makes him feel good. And because he's happy and he feels good and he feels supported in the morning, it makes me feel good too, that he's happy. And if it's this tiny little thing that takes away the stress of his morning, great. Because he's rushing out the door trying to get to his workout to then get to his first meeting of the day, right? Back to my point, be a good human. I started to not pummel him with all of my mental chatter with my business. And not that I was withholding anything or keeping away. I just was just like, there's no reason. Everything's fine. Like we'll talk when we talk. It's not the first thing we have to discuss when he walks in the door. I don't even want to. We left on such a great note this morning. Like I want to keep this vibe going. So I'm like, oh, how's your day? Good. Okay. And then we like hang out, laugh, joke, play. Like it started to show up as like work was not our topic of discussion. So what was for a couple of years that, it also went right back to where just me being a good person, I was opening the doors of not me sharing stress and then him sharing his stress. And then it turns into a work conversation, then it turns into investments and finances and this and that. The door was never opened for that. It didn't have to be, because you can't talk about this stuff every day. It doesn't do you any good. Like life is more than that and beyond that. So that's the third step. Be a good human being. Don't feel overwhelmed with all the work that you think you have to do to put in this relationship. Just show up as a good person, ready, willing, and able to serve. It's pretty easy to execute on once you start to do it. Because I think that inherently humans are good people. And I think that we if we allow ourselves to drop into our heart space and come from that, instead of always judging each other and having high expectations and putting ourselves in these gender roles and whatnot, whatever we have, you're going to automatically, with your actions, push that person to change too. Because what I was mirroring, Brian shortly starts to mirror back to me. And although he's always been a guy of absolutely has no expectations of me, never makes me feel like I have to perform or do anything or contribute whatsoever, he started to also mirror in other forms of like good human behavior, like way out of his way that he never did before. Okay, tip number 4. I admit that I did not come up with this one on my own. A couple weeks ago or a month ago, I came across a post on Instagram, which was an interview of Matthew McConaughey on Diary of CEO with Stephen Bartlett. And it was a clip. And Matthew McConaughey says, the number one tip for people in relationships is to have an owner's mindset, not a renter's mindset. And he goes in this whole segment about how most people in relationships go in with what they can get. That's what most people, even young people, even when you get married, it's like, what can I get? Like, what does this person do for me? Oh yeah, he's this. And when things go south, they blame. When you are figuring out and making the decision and trying to figure out if this is going to work for you because there's no spark there, and is this, worth fighting for, whatnot, you have to take ownership of where the relationship is at right now. You have to take ownership of the fact that this is your life to create, your life to build, your relationship to fix. Stop blaming the other person for 2 minutes and understand that you are separate from them, and you should not be mimicking or mirroring their behaviors just because they're not changing first or they're not doing something. No, you step up to the plate. That's what I did. I stepped up to the plate. And it was like a mirror looking right back at me. And I was like, I got married to Brian in 2018. In 2025, I have this epiphany when Matthew McConaughey is talking about owners' mindset versus renters. I am not ashamed to admit this at all, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who's going to resonate with, so I'm going to share it. He already knows this. I told him that I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I had no reason to. That was not fair. I was always committed. I'm super committed. I have tons of loyalty. I have very good morals and values. I have all that. That was instilled in me. He knows that about me. He has the same. But somewhere like energetically, I always had this like, if he messes up, or if he does this, or if he ever acts like so-and-so's husband, or if he ever acts like so-and-so over there, like, it's over in my head, right? Because I do have this like alpha female energy to myself sometimes. So I'm like waiting for him to like, subconsciously. It wasn't obvious, even to me. Once I stepped back, I'm like, do I have an owner's mindset about Brian in our marriage? Like, what? And I thought, no, I don't. No, I don't. I had a renter's mindset about this whole damn thing this whole time. And let's get real about it. And so then I thought, well, he's never given me a reason to feel that way. So here I am schlepping my past trauma, unhealed, unresolved BS into something that I've been living in for the last 8-9 years, or married into 8-9 years, and been known for 14 years. Like, that's not fair to him. And that's not fair to me. Like, what is going on? So in that moment, I was like, no, I'm going to take care of this. Like, this is my thing to fix. It's not going to become this fairy tale, spark-filled marriage on its own. He can't fix this on his own. I can't have all the expectations from him. I have to own up to this, just like I do in my business, just like I did in school, just like I did in our other companies, just like I did in everything that I did, just like I did for my health. Owner's mindset. I went in there, fixed it, did everything I had to do. It took me 3 years to do so, but I took charge of that. So I had to show up with that same energy for my marriage. And I think if you step back and ask yourselves, do I have an ownership or renter's mindset? A lot of you will be surprised at what you come up with. The next step is choose. You have to make a decision. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, when he does this, or when we do this, or when we feel the spark again, or when this happens, or when we go to therapy. All of that was pushed off to the side once I made the ownership mindset right here, like front and center. And I made the very conscious choice, like I do in business, in work, everything else, right? Why should it be any different from my relationship right now? especially when it helps the situation. And I said, no, I'm making a conscious choice and decision, like this is going to work, period. End of story. Again, I'm not saying this to Brian. These are things that I'm doing quietly. And making that choice is what kind of kept the momentum going of me being a good human, me choosing us, me not feeling some sort of way if he falls short on something that we just talked about in therapy. Do you see? Like, I'm not resisting us anymore. I'm not resisting our relationship anymore. I'm not resisting life anymore. I am cutting some slack to the whole picture, to the whole story, while we're figuring this out and trying to get to the spark, okay? And I am an active, willing participant in doing so. It's not about Brian at the moment. It's about what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, and how I'm perceiving this whole situation to be, and how I can show up. The next one, not easy, but once you do it, it's easy thereafter. Forgiveness. Once I realized, I was able to put myself in Brian's shoes a couple times without him even mentioning this to me. Forgiveness. Forgiveness for the stuff we had gone through. For me, that was easy because it was nothing that he did to me or nothing that I did to him. These were external things that our marriage had to deal with, like I had already explained before what they were, which every relationship and every marriage goes through. Things will happen in life to both of you that you guys didn't have anything to do with. They just happened to you guys, and now you have to handle it. That's very stressful, by the way. But that's okay, not the end of the world. And I forgave all those things. And I forgave if he showed up differently than I would have expected him to. I started to look at him as, again, because I was in a good human mindset, like I was looking at him as another human being. He's only a year older than me, okay? And it's like, how much more does he know than me? Not much. It's not like he's 16 or 20 years older than me and has all this life experience. No. He's doing the best that he can, and he did what he thought was the most important thing to do. And it's okay. I don't have to hold all of these negative stressors or events or things or judgment or expectations that fell short. I don't have to rack them up somewhere in my mind. And then every time I see him, it's triggering. And that's preventing the spark, so to speak. Or that prevents me from showing up as a good person. Forget the wife part, just as a good human being. So I forgave everything. Not for him. Not for our marriage. I forgave it for myself. Because I started to feel free. The more I forgave, the more free I felt, the more happy and light I felt. I just dropped that bar a little bit, not to accept lesser than I feel I deserve, just to navigate this current situation to get us back to our spark, okay? Next thing, communication. I am notorious for when we had a disagreement or an argument, leave, walk away, don't talk to me. And it would take me like a day. Like full 24 hours. Like even we'd go to sleep and I wouldn't have had talked to him. And what I learned, now this is a combination of therapy and things that I kind of saw on my own. You got to close that gap. And by the way, this is for professional life and personal life. You have to close the gap. When you have a disagreement or an argument or miscommunication about something, you need to resolve it as soon as possible. I understand that that's easier said and done, but let's break it down for a second. Why is it hard? Because you're in this emotional state. All I do on this show is talk about emotional regulation and nervous system regulation and being better and reprogramming our nervous system to act, think, feel, and speak a different way to then get a different outcome. This is no different. We are not slaves to our emotional reactions and behaviors that we have been participating in up until this point. We can change those. It's hard in the beginning, but once you get it, second nature. So that required me to not get so upset that I can't even look at him and communicate. Okay? Well, let's go back to all the little points I just made before we came to the communication closing gap part, okay? I'm working on being a good human. Well, a good human does not shut a person out. A good human does not give somebody the silent treatment because that's hurtful, okay? When someone upsets you and they're just left wondering what just happened and why it happened and they're wanting to communicate and you don't, that's very hurtful. Put yourself in their shoes. So that's first thing. Being a good human helped me communicate better because I was more focused on being a good human and less focused on coming from a place of ego or coming from a place of expectation or being let down because he didn't meet that expectation It helped me come from a place of not wife and husband, but just from a person. If this was a stranger, would I give them this kind of silent, like, would this happen? Like, or would we figure it out? If this was just a friend, wouldn't we figure it out? Sometimes we show up with more animosity and resistance to the ones closest to us, aka our partners. We'll break that down in another episode of why we do that. But being a good human helped me be a good communicator. Looking at this with an ownership mindset versus a renter's helped me be a good communicator, because in that moment, I was taking ownership of the situation. And an ownership situation or mindset is, yes, I will communicate. Yes, let's figure this out together. Because the goal is to fix this and nip this in the bud right here and right now. And to figure out this could have been a simple, tiny little miscommunication. Making the choice or the commitment to work on this relationship, and it's worth fighting for, helped me be a good communicator. Because I wasn't wishy-washy. I knew what my goal was, and my goal is I choose this person no matter what. Made me want to close that gap. So we're not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep angry at him. He never did that to me. I used to do that to him. So we're not going to sleep angry. We are having mature conversations. If I am upset, I'm able to emotionally regulate myself in real time and give him that respect, but more importantly, give myself that respect as well, that I don't need to get all worked up and get my nervous system all out of whack and get stressed out and get my stress levels high. Like, that's respect for myself, first and foremost, which I also talked about on several solos before. Being a good human, it all goes back to that. Ownership mindset, making the decision that this is your person and you guys are going to make this work no matter what. And remember why you're together makes the communication piece very easy, and closing that gap. You know, this whole thing like, oh, I need time, I need this, I need that. I look back on some of my past relationships. Oh, what a crock of shit that was. Anytime I asked for space or time, do I need to finish my sentence? I obviously wasn't into that person. I wasn't in it. And rightfully so, by the way, I was very young. But I think when you're really in it with somebody and you really love each other, it's not so much that you need more space or time apart. You need to learn how to communicate with maturity. You need to learn how to regulate your emotions. I'm not saying suppress them, I'm saying regulate them. And understand that you can be very angry with somebody and still have a very calm discussion or conversation, so you're not shutting them out and making them feel some sort of way. Think about it. Anytime you're having a spaz out like a child, you are being very selfish in that moment. You are literally giving your power away to an old paradigm, an old programming, an old habit of yours every single time. And then you're shocked that you have no new output, no new outcome, that you keep getting the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why I say that being a good human parlays into all areas of your life. Having an ownership mindset or mentality positively affects all areas of your life, not just your marriage or not just your relationship. I know that's what we're talking about right now, but these were the things that really gave me that foundation and base. I didn't know that this was going to happen. It always put the ball into my court. Whoa, before I blame, it was how am I showing up? What am I saying? What am I doing? How am I feeling? So I can sit here and say, I'm so angry. Okay, I get it. I'm angry. That person did something to make me angry. But it's up to me to emotionally regulate myself. Is it hard today for me? No. Was it hard? Yes. But the minute I showed up in life as I just want to be a good human being, I'm just okay. When you practice being a good human being, or when I do, I get outside of my identity and all the labels that I have for myself. And then it extends to Brian or work or people that I work with or people that work for me too. Because I'm able to approach things as from a bird's eye view a little bit. That's what that does. And that has then in turn helped me emotionally regulate. And the more I did it, I did it once and it worked. Then now I know the feeling that I'm looking for. If there's a disagreement, I know what it feels like to be regulated and come from a good place. That, okay, we can agree to disagree right now. We got to figure this out. Now lately we're table it for therapy. Or the fun part these days is when we can figure it out in real time, and then we get to tell her the success story that we had on our own, that we didn't need her for it because we took care of it. You can take a moment to stop, to process. That's what the communication part is about. It's about closing. It's taking a moment. 2 minutes, maybe 3, maybe an hour, but communicate that to your partner. Say, hey, look, I need 1 hour to myself. We'll come right back. Don't make that person feel some sort of way. Don't shut them out. Don't go to bed angry. Don't make this a 5-hour long thing. Don't make this a 2, 3, 6-day thing. Just, a couple minutes, an hour maybe, or just like you know what I mean? Like, keep that small. And here's why. And I may have touched on this earlier, so I'm sorry for repeating, but like, the gap is where all the problems happen. You think you're doing something good by giving space. The more and more space you create, the more and more you're showing that person's nervous system and brain that, oh, every time something happens or we have a disagreement or something goes wrong, I don't get her for a day or 5 days. What does that do to your communication now? That person's going to stop communicating with you. They're going to feel like they're always walking on eggshells with you, and they're going to start holding things in over time. You, on the other hand, are programming yourself that you have absolutely no emotional regulation to yourself. And every time you feel some sort of way, you have no way of coming back there as quick as possible, regulating and being a mature adult, having a mature conversation. You need to take an hour, you need to take 5 hours, then that turns into 24 hours, and that turns into 2 days and 3 days. You're not trying to go this way, you're continuously going this way. So in the long term, what does that do to you? And if you're like that at home, you're probably like that at work too. How is that helpful? This next one is interesting. This was a shocker to me, okay? For those who know me, I have very high expectations of people around me. And by the way, I have higher expectations of myself. For sure, all right? I do not want anyone, man or woman, to take what I say out of context, first and foremost. What I'm about to say does not mean that you drop your standards or lower the bar. No. We've already gone through it. This is the person you're going to fight for. You have no big problems. We're just working on the spark. Everything's okay. We're good, okay? Start to judge, I use that term loosely with air quotes, by their intentions, not their actions. Now, I am a stickler for this in my professional world. It's results. At first, it's actions and results. And I look to results. If they're not there, I don't care how much time you spend on something, it's useless to me. But I think that that's necessary to grow in business. Bottom line, in a marriage, you cannot be that regimented or strict. You can't have it. It's not going to work. Both of you probably already feel that at work or in your businesses or whatever it is that you do, right? With each other, knowing that you have such a beautiful foundation there, knowing that you're each other's person, knowing that you want to work on this, knowing that you're going to be a good human being and emotionally ready, all these things, start to pay attention at what they do and why they do it. I'll give you a very recent example. Our dear Brian, on our anniversary about not even a month ago, so this is recent, we are in Amsterdam celebrating our wedding anniversary. I give him a present that I can't really talk about yet because we're not sharing this with a lot of people, but I basically gave him exactly what he's wanted for years, okay? He's happy, he's ecstatic, but he also just got off a 22-hour flight when I told him, okay? He gets me, again, I over-communicate. He has pictures of what I want, okay? There's a ton of things and options in there. And it wasn't specific to our wedding anniversary either, by the way. He just takes pictures when we're out looking at stuff. I'm like, oh, I like that, or I like that. And he knows, okay, I got it, right? This was something our therapist told us. She's like, Brian, pay attention. Nina does tell you what she likes and what she doesn't like. And I've been on his phone, so I know that the pictures are there of what I want. This guy gets me a necklace and earrings that I don't like. And he says, I got him because, well, first he goes, you don't like it, do you? And it was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, I'm so angry right now. I'm so angry that I could cry. And by the way, we're standing in the middle of our hotel room in Amsterdam. And I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, he just got off a 22-hour flight after spending over a week and a half in Brazil for work and is now here. Okay. I was recognizing that in that moment. So I got dressed because we were going to dinner or whatever. And then he's like, you really didn't like that, did you? And I was like, no. I was like, no, it's okay. I didn't say anything. He goes, I got it because it's chai tea green. It's chai tea green. And I'm obsessed with our green. Our whole logo is the color green, right? And I'm like, it's it's not chai tea green. And I'm like kind of smirking, but at the same time, I'm just like, right? He is very upset. Like, I can feel his feelings. Like, I know he feels like a failure in this moment. Like, he can't do anything right. I'm catching his vibe. Normally he can brush anything off. But because we have been working on our spark and working on our communication, I could feel to him, it was like, oh man, I just messed up. And he was not handling it well. And knowing that and reading that situation, I was like, no, 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 it's fine. Like, it's fine. You know, it's okay. And then he's like, I don't know if I can return it or this or that. And then I was like, well, yeah, where'd you get it? And he's like, I got it at the airport in Brazil. Okay. Now I had to turn around and walk away in that moment. So I start walking to the elevator to get to our dinner reservations. And he's like behind me. This is me regulating in the moment, okay? I'm not talking to him. I am. But I'm kind of giving that like physical space between us in the moment. And he's like, I don't understand. I can't do anything right. Isn't that? He's like going on and on and on. And I'm like, Brian, it's fine. Like, it's okay. No, it's not okay. You don't like it. You're not happy. And I love what you got me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this is when I said, and I was very calm, by the way, because there came a point where I was kind of so mad that I wanted to cry. Then I became so mad that it was making me laugh. Like, I wasn't outwardly projecting the anger. I was masking it, right? Because I was still trying to regulate it and not shut him out. I didn't want that space on our anniversary day. He's like, it's the chai tea green. All you do is think about the chai tea green. All you do is like point it out everywhere you see it. And I'm like, dude, this is green. Like, this is just light green. This is not dark, deep forest green. And like, I showed him. And I'm like, also, Brian, I'm like, to be fair, I'm like, I've been in your phone and I know that you have pictures of the exact things that I want over the next 1 to 2 years. Like, you already know. Like, it's not that hard. He goes, he's like, I obviously didn't think this through ahead of time. He goes, I got caught up in stuff. I was away for work. He goes, and then I got to the airport. I was like, yeah. So like, this wasn't on top of mind for you. I'm like, and that's what's hurtful. I'm like, that's what's upsetting. Not the fact that you got the wrong thing or I didn't like what you got me. I'm like, it's the fact that you waited on your flight here to get me something from the airport. Mind you, it was from like a beautiful store. It was like one of those like luxury airports with like luxury jewelry stores and whatever. And I'm like, it's just not me. Plain and simple. You can look at that and know that that's not me. I was like, it's more hurtful that you waited on your way. I was like, what husband buys something for their wife at the airport? I'm like, who does that? It's that simple. And in his mind, he just wasn't seeing it. But I communicated, and believe me, you guys, if I could share stories of, I was in the middle of our, after being married for like 4 or 5 years, oh my gosh, I used to get so upset because he sucked at gift giving. He kind of still is not the perfect at it, but he just doesn't put that thought into it. Knowing somebody for 14 years and being married to them for like 7, 8 years, you start to realize like, okay, when you're working on something and you've made a choice and you've taken an ownership mindset and you're being a good human being, you need to know that I cannot keep reacting the same way that I always react about something. So what do? I drop the expectation or the action, basically the action they took, and I focus on his intention. And I look at the big picture, not making excuses for him yet. But don't forget, we're in the working on things stage. I know that this is going to be a piece of content for our therapist to figure out in like 3 weeks, which we did, by the way, after we got back. Why should I outwardly react and emotionally react the same way that I would have in the previous years? Because he just did the same thing that he always does. What is that going to do for me? And what has it done for me up until this point? Nothing. So how about I change my change my input of how I'm perceiving this, which is he had the right intentions, plain and simple. He could have forgotten altogether with everything that he was going through. And I know his schedule. Like, this guy is the hardest worker I know. I don't know anybody who works as hard as him. Nobody. To just even remember that at the airport, I'm like, okay, fine, we got it. So focus on that person's intentions. Cut them a little bit of slack when you're in this phase of bringing the spark back and working on things, because guess what? You're not going to fix everything all at once. This is going to be a work in progress. This is going to take weeks, months, maybe even a year or two to get there. Okay? That's where I'm coming from when it comes to let the expectation go. focus on this person's intention. Hold space for them. Don't make them feel like okay? Don't make them feel like a failure. Don't react the same way that you would have in the past. You're only going to get the same result. And you wouldn't be here watching this episode if you had a different result. So obviously it wasn't working. So I did that. And you know what that's given me? A lot of peace of mind. It's given me a lot more deeper happiness. Like, I'm not looking to something external to make me happy. I am not that woman, never really was either, by the way, who's like, what can he get me? Or what is he going to get me? Because back in the day, he couldn't even afford what I wanted. So it never even was a question. Like, I knew it was not possible. So why would that change today? And if I really love somebody and someone really loves me, do I just want to be in a relationship where it's like a constant give and take, a constant like expectation, like me, do for me? Like, is that love at the end of the day? I think that we're very hard on each other. I'm talking in general. Like, I think relationships and boyfriend and girlfriend, wife, like very tough on each other, can be. And what this does, or what this did in that moment, by the way, it gave space for Brian to experience, yes, something didn't work out the way that I thought it would play out in my head and I thought I was doing the right thing. But just like my body and my nervous system and my programming shifted and I changed how I react or behave in this situation, it also gave him a different experience of conflict. Whereas it opened the line of communication. Otherwise, he would feel he's walking on eggshells. It would escalate. It would get worse. We probably wouldn't go to dinner. We'd feel some sort of way. The night would be ruined. What did we accomplish then? There's definitely no spark at that point. So you switch it and you say, you know what? The intentions were there. It's okay. We'll get there. We're working on it together. It's not all going to get fixed all at once. I also think that when you do this, when you're repairing something, obviously in the future, you want the person to learn you. Okay, I'm not saying that I want to accept things that I don't want from him forever, no. But when you're in the repairing phase or building the spark back phase, you need to have a little bit of patience. Some things demand your attention and reaction, other things don't. This was the thing that didn't, I'm happy I didn't react. And I'm happy I just focused on his intention because as a good human being, that's what I would first see, period. I also think that this gave him space to feel safer with me and see that, wow, she's really changing, because the old Nina would have went wild over this. And he did acknowledge that days after, like he said it on his own. He's like, you would have like eaten my head off for something. I was like, I know, but the same things don't mean the same anymore to me. Like, other things matter to me more. My regulation matters to me more. My happiness, if I can stay in constant states of peace, that's more important. Bringing the spark back is more important. Our marriage is more important. Our relationship, our partnership is more important to me. This therapist will fix this. It's not a big deal. The intention was enough for me, and that fulfilled me in the moment when I changed and shifted my perception or perspective about that situation on our anniversary. But what it also did was help Brian not to feel that he always has to perform for me, that I always have to live up to an expectation for Nina. Because I'll say this, I never feel like I have to perform for Brian, ever. And I've always said this before, and I'm very vocal about it. He doesn't make me feel like I have to do something or be something that I'm not, or live up to certain expectations. I can be a little bit tough, but I think most women are, because we like over communicate and talk. And we don't get our way, we get upset most of the time. But for this situation, he now feels safe to explore, like, okay, next time I'm gonna nail this the next time, right? But it's gonna come from here. It's not gonna come from here, or from a place of I have to perform, and to be a good husband, that means I have to get her the best gift. No, I don't want a performer. I want a partner, and I want a lover. And everything they do for me, or say to me, or give to me, or think of me, or whatever it is, it comes from here. Because right now, that's where I am. When I'm making that fruit bowl, when I'm showing up as a good human being, when I'm choosing him in the toughest time and working on our stuff and to bring the spark back, it's coming from here. It's not coming from a performative place. It's not coming from I have to save face in front of everybody, or that I'm afraid of getting divorced, or this or that. No, it's all from here. And I want him to do the same. And I want him to feel the same. But I have to create the space for him to get there. We go to the therapist when we come back. This comes up in our discussion. And by the way, we're laughing about this at this point. And he's telling her what happened. And she's like, well, Nina, how did it make you feel? And I told her exactly what I said. And she goes, that's very mature of you. She's like, I would have told you to handle it just like you did, to be honest. And she's like, well, like, what do you think changed? And I told her, I was like, I like who I am right now. I like how I feel right now in my relationship. I like my life right now. I like not being triggered. I like kind of going with the flow when it comes to certain things with us. I like being a safe place. Just like how he makes me feel safe with him, I like feeling the same too. Like, and I see that I haven't been showing up that way for the last several years. I was like, and maybe this is a part of the whole spark thing. And she's like, I think it is. And then he said, he shared his opinion on it. And he's like, yeah, she didn't make me feel like it would have in the past. He said that performative was a thing that came up. Like, I don't have to perform. That pressure, man doesn't need that pressure. It's not necessary, especially a guy who's putting, by the way, he doesn't have to put all this pressure on himself. He does it to himself. That's a whole different episode. Probably should do it with him, where men walk around with this like, oh, I gotta handle everything by myself and this and that. Okay, well, you do that to yourselves. But I don't need to add to that plate over something so superficial. Now, if he was like a degenerate and he was drinking cans of beer on Sundays and watching football games and always hanging with the guys and doing this and then forgot my present or then got me something that I didn't like, we'd have a big problem. We would have to have a big discussion, okay? But I saw the intention and that's what I focused on. And that made me feel good, period. And I know he's not gonna do it again. If he kept forgetting, obviously, I mean, I don't think I'd keep, knowing who I am today, I don't think I'd keep reacting the same because that's the whole point. You're breaking the loop. Sometimes you are part of the problem. He was always doing the same, and I was always reacting the same way. Nobody was breaking the cycle. That's what I'm trying to say here, by the way. Underlying all this is the cycle. You're breaking your nervous system from always reacting and feeling a certain way. He's not feeling performative now because I'm not reacting the same anymore. I'm finding happiness in other ways. I'm committing to this. I'm having an ownership mindset. That's changing. We're breaking all these loops that we've had that contributed to losing the spark over time, right? We don't just talk about work. We talk about other things now. We do other things now. We take consistent trips. We travel the world. We have new external inputs all the time that then change our output towards one another. There's been real work that's been going on into this, and it's made all the difference. And honestly, it makes me very sad to think about. I'm lucky that we never thought about walking away from each other, but like it does make me sad when I think about other people who would just give up because life is just a big ball of stress for them. And they think that their spark is gone and they just don't even go to therapy, or one partner doesn't even want to go, or forget therapy. They don't even want to change or evolve, right? Or communicate with each other because it's easier to go start over with somebody else than it is to repair what you have. Spoiler alert, you're going to have these problems with everybody. Anybody that you go with in the future, you just choose who you want to do it with, honestly. When you're with somebody for long enough, the spark does fizzle, doesn't die, it can fizzle. Will never die if it's meant to be. It's your job to fuel that and work on that consistently. And there's always going to be an ebb and flow in life. That's why you're partners. That's why you're soulmates. That's why you're twin flames. That's why you're meant to be together. That's why you chose each other. That's why this is your person. This is a life journey, and it's unique to you. It shouldn't look like someone else's on Instagram. No, that's not how this works. All the people that you look up to that have been married for a very long time and have these crazy, elaborate lives, guys, it's not all shiny underneath. They've done the work, and they continue to do the work. They have a very different perception on what marriage and partnership looks like than you do, probably. At some point, you start to realize, well, I mean, I'm here right now, that is kind of morbid. So, warning. But at the end of the day, I came here alone. I'm going to leave alone. Can't take my money or followers or episodes or whatever the heck is going on with me. It's all here after I die. But so is Brian. And what I do in the middle of this and who I choose to spend my time with and create my life with, like, we're literally just walking each other home. Home being when we all die. That's all it is. And I'm still going to come back to it again and again until you guys get it. Just be a good human being. When you are that, and that person matches your energy, which he is matching my energy a lot, like, shout out to him. Like, he's done a 360. Here's the thing. I I was a big part of the problem in a different way, and he was in a different way for the spark purposes, right? Once we started to communicate and committed to this, and we were both open to working on it, and the shift started to happen that I just shared with you guys, he matched it. And I know someone's watching this probably like, well, I've tried all those things, or I would do that and I would try that, but he won't. Or I'll do it, but she won't. Or what if they don't? When I set on this path to follow these steps, it was something that came to me just because I wanted to evolve. And I'm a big believer in when you want something different in your life, even if it means in your relationships or partnerships, you have to focus on you. You have to get you right first. And my mindset was that I want to evolve for me. I don't want to live in this low energy anymore. I want that same bubbly, rose-colored glasses, kiddie teenage love again, with a mix of some adulthood stuff now in our life and what we're doing. But I want to remember that, and I want to live in that, and I want to feel that again. And I deserve it, and I'm willing to do anything for it. If it's meant to be, he'll match it and it'll work. And if it's not, well, I know that there's something else out there for me. But I did this for me. I did this so I change.